This is the introduction to section 4.3. This is part 2, and this is the part where we're going to talk about a lot of proofs. Okay, all these proofs that are in your notes as we go through. Okay, we talked about two other ways to prove triangles congruent in part 1. Angle, side angle, and angle, angle, side. And that's what you're going to be using predominantly in these proofs as we look through these. Okay, so let's dive into these. We'll start with the first one. We're given here angle CAB and angle DAE are congruent. That's these two. These are the two vertical angles that are congruent to each other in the given. Side BA and side EA are congruent to each other as well. And then it says angle B and angle E are right angles. Well, I went ahead and we put that information in that first step. And we want to prove that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle AED. Okay. So we'll go ahead and let's put our given in there. We've already put that part in. This is our given. Okay, so as you can tell from the picture, if you look at the picture, you can tell we've already got the markings for angle, side, angle, but we haven't shown that B and E are congruent. We've said these two are congruent. We've said these two sides are congruent. But we haven't said that these two angles are congruent. So we're going to have to use our steps to that. Okay? So as you look at the given, it says angles B and E are right angles. Well, if they're right angles, then we know that angle B is equal to 90 and angle E is also equal to 90. And this we can say by the definition of right angles. Okay, definition of right angles. They're both equal to 90. Well, in the next step, if they're both equal to 90, then we can say, in the next step, they're both equal to 90. If they're both equal to 90, then they're both equal to each other. So angle B is going to be congruent to angle E. And this, if you look in your tool belt, if one thing is congruent to the same, or if two things are congruent to the same thing, then they're congruent to each other. This is the transitive property. So we're throwing in some old properties in here and some old definitions. Now, I've already got that marked in my picture. Okay. Now, I've got enough marked. I've got everything figured out. I can now say that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle AED by the angle, side, angle postulate. Now, the reason I did this one all together for you is because it's a little bit different, okay? We haven't had one that looks like this yet. But go ahead and make sure you have this one filled out as you look at the proofs. Okay. Now, as we look at this second one on the next page, I want you to hit pause, go ahead and go through and see if you can figure this one out on your own. Okay, and be able to write this proof on your own. I can tell you that I will tell you this, it is a 3-step proof, so that way you know how many steps are in it. Go ahead and hit pause, and then I'll let you work that out, and then we'll look at it. Okay, now that we're back from hitting pause, okay, we've got the first step in there already, and that's our given. Okay. And some things we looked at here. We said angle A is congruent to angle D. Angle B and angle E are congruent. Okay. And then AC and DF are congruent. All right. Now, if you were to take and flip the triangles over as you're looking at this, okay, as you're looking at this proof, if you were to flip the triangles over, you will notice that you could say they're already congruent by angle, angle, side. Okay? But I want to do this a little bit different as well. I want to show you another way to do this as well on this problem. So, you already have, if we want to do this angle, angle, side, it's already situated. But if I wanted to do it by angle, side angle, I would need to have these two angles congruent to each other because the side has to be in between. Well, I can say angle C is congruent to angle F Since I already know two sets of angles are congruent, I know that the third sets of angles are congruent by the third angles theorem. Okay, so I can mark these. And now I could say that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. And this is by the angle side angle postulate. Okay, they aren't going to do this to you a lot. Okay, where they give you one where it's already angle angle side and they want you to find it the other way. They're not going to do that a lot to you. Okay, now as we come to these final two here, okay, again, I want you to hit pause and see if you can come up with the answers to the proof for this top one. Okay, hit pause, come up with the answers, and then see if you can get it correct. I will tell you this, there are 4 steps to the third proof and 4 steps to the fourth proof. So if you want to hit pause on both and see if you can come up with the correct answer on both of these proofs, that'd be really good for you. Okay, so go ahead and hit pause, and I'll come back and let you know what the answers are. Okay, now that you've hit pause, we know step 1's the given in the first one. Okay, we know that angle M and angle K are congruent. And we know that W, M, and RK are parallel. Now, as you're looking at this proof, again, you're trying to use, in this case, writing the proof as angle, angle, side. They kind of give that away to you, but you'll notice you have an angle. So you either need to find a side and another angle, or you need to find another angle and then a side. Okay? So you're either going to use angle, side, angle, or angle, angle, side. Now, if you look at this picture, on this picture, there's no way to prove that these sides are congruent, and there's no way to prove that these sides are congruent. So we need to figure out another angle first, and then look at the side, because we know right now that WR is congruent to WR by the reflexive property. So I already have a side. Now I need to figure out an angle. Well, remember, in the given it gives us parallel lines. So in the parallel lines, you're looking for alternate interior angles. And the angles that we need this angle right here, and we need this angle right here for it to be, in this case, you want it to be angle, angle, side, and angle, angle, side. So those angles are angle KRW is congruent to angle MWR. And that reason is that alternate interior angles are congruent. Okay. Now as you look, we've got angle, angle, side. So now we can say that triangle WMR is congruent to triangle RKW by angle, angle, side theorem. Okay. All right, the second one. Okay, it gives you that angle S and angle Q are congruent. It says RP bisects angle SRQ, and it wants us to prove the triangle is congruent. So we've got that in the given. All right, again, if you want to go the obvious route first, we can say that PR is congruent to PR by reflexive property. We can mark that in there. Now again, you're looking for an angle, because you have an angle separated here. You have an angle, and then you're not going to be able to mark these sides and then that angle. So you can't do angle, side, angle, but you're going to need angle, angle, side. So we know it says here that PR bisects this angle, so I know that this angle and this angle are congruent to each other. But I can't name it angle R because I don't know which one's which, the right or the left. Okay, so I need to name it angle SRP is congruent to angle QRP and it's congruent to QRP by the definition of an angle bisector. Okay, and now as you look at your picture, we have angle, angle, side, and angle, angle, side. I can now show that triangle SRP is congruent to triangle QRP by angle side theorem. Okay, so I went through these proofs. Okay, there's 4 of them there. This concludes section 4.3 part 2. Make sure to go online and complete your WSQ when you're finished.